And we want to get some military perspective right now from Lieutenant Colonel Hal Kempfer, retired Marine Corps intelligence officer. Hal, thanks so much for joining us again. It's great to see you. What message does the president, does this send that the president had canceled the strike because of the potential casualties? What does that send to Iran?
Well, it says that the president's being very proportional in his thinking, Eric. You know, it's a little unusual to have a president kind of, if you will, advertise his thinking process, his consideration process while it's going on. Certainly a number of great documents or great books have been written about presidents who pondered where to do this or that. You know, certainly the nuclear strikes in Japan by Harry Truman come to mind. But we also saw this with the going kind of back and forth on whether, under the Obama administration, on whether they should do a strike following chemical weapons. And that also revealed a lot. So it's not completely unprecedented, but to have a president go on Twitter and explain himself, that was a little bit different. But what I think for a lot of people, they look at this and they say the president is showing a high degree of restraint. And that may play to our hand on the international stage. That may play to our hand in the region and maybe possibly even within Iran.
I want to talk more about that restraint in a moment, but first, I just want you to walk us through for a moment here what a briefing might entail when a president is actually presented with a plan of attack here. And I'm asking again because wouldn't the president have been briefed on potential casualties in that meeting?
Well, I've briefed a lot of target stuff, not to the president, but I briefed it fairly high up. And usually when you go through, you talk about the targets, you're looking at some legal and ethical considerations under what we call proportional response. We're looking at what they did. And usually when you're responding directly against whatever fired at you. In this case, it sounds like they're going after the radar sites, the actual missile batteries themselves. And you might have in that discussion or in that presentation talked about potential casualties. Really what you're looking at more is you're trying to explain the battle damage assessment of what we do and what that would do to degrade their capabilities. I don't think that the casualty count was left out, but it's very clear for the president the number of casualties was a big issue. And one thing with this whole back and forth that we've had with the Iranians with the Gulf and the tankers and everything so far, they have done a lot of what I would call strikes on equipment, infrastructure, ships, things like that. But they haven't gone for a mass casualty thing. We go in and do a strike and kill 150 Iranians, even if they're Revolutionary Guard, IRGC, that will be remembered, and it changes the dynamic of the conflict itself.
Hal, very quickly, what does it say to you that Iran, in response to all of this, said, you know, basically, we could have taken out this U.S. spy plane, the manned spy plane that was flying near the drone? Does that show restraint on Iran's part, or was that their way of saying, no, we have the tech to target you?
I think that was a little boisterous on their part, saying we have the tech to target you. If that's their way of broadcasting restraint, they really need to go back and figure out how they do that. Right. It wasn't a very clear message.
All right, Lieutenant Colonel Hal Kempfer, thank you as always for your time, sir.